the Canucks return home to face another nemesis. 4 years ago, they battled for hockey's biggest prize.
Raffi Torres with 19 seconds to go. Burrows wraparound scores. Alex Burrows has done it again. Oh, what a save by Thomas. It's in the net. Wraparound goal by Brad Marchand. The Bruins are NHL champions.
But tonight, they fight for their playoff lives. Vancouver native Milan Lucic is back home looking to return the Big Bad Bruins to their former glory. The Canucks counter with their own power forward, who's beginning to live up to expectations. It's the Bruins and Canucks right now. Perhaps a seminal moment on Wednesday night in Chicago. The Canucks blowing a lead and then winning it in overtime on a beauty. Henrik setting up Daniel, and now a chance to expand on that as another rival comes to town, the Boston Bruins. I'm Brad Fay. Thanks for joining us for another night of Canucks hockey. Canucks haven't been able to win 2 in a row since the All-Star break, and the challenge tonight is their old buddies from 2011. Always brings energy to Rogers Arena, as does Dan Murphy. Murph.
Hello, Brad. Yes, first meeting of the season between these two teams, and the Vancouver media likes to joke it is game number 11. Fourth time they've met since the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, and the series is tied 5-5, in case you're wondering. Lots to talk about the Twins recently, for good reason. They seem re-energized, they're producing, but let's not forget about Radim Vrbata. Ever since being moved to the second line, he's been good. Currently on a 7-game point streak. That's the longest active streak in the league. It's also the longest streak of his career. And the standings are closing in. The Canucks have been inconsistent. The Wild won last night 2 points back. The Kings won last night 3 points back. The Canucks not only looking over their shoulder, they can leapfrog the Sharks tonight with a win and a Sharks regulation loss.
Oh, back your feet. They're good.
All right, Murph, Louis DeBrusk and Corey Hirsch alongside. Another 19-year-old. We compare to Bo Horvat, not directly, but just the situations. Brandon Pasternak in Boston, and maybe different approaches to getting a guy ready for the NHL.
Well, forced different approaches, too. You know, Pasternak had the luxury of going down to the American Hockey League because of that European clause where he's allowed to go down playing the American Hockey League as a 19-year-old, whereas for Horvat, it was either the NHL or back to junior. He's done a great job to step in there. Pasternak went down there under Bruce Cassidy, excelled, and they love this kid's passion. He's all in. He plays the game hard. Claude Julien has done an excellent job at saying, listen, kid, go out, play your game, make mistakes, play it the way you need to play it, and we'll help you develop. He's on the top line with Krejci and Lucic. He might get shuffled around a bit, but they love the way this kid brings everything each and every night.
Love Pasternak. His work ethic, love everything about him.
You got to have confidence wearing 88 on your back as well. Ryan Miller's confidence shaken a little bit of late. One shutout sandwich between 2 brutal games for him, and he's a different guy when it comes to the goaltender return.
Yeah, he's a different guy. He's got to be good tonight. Now, he's the type of goalie, I had him in St. Louis, he goes internal when things don't go well. You're going to have to get him out of his shell. He's the type of guy that has a lot of little idiosyncrasies. He does a little pirouette. He's got a lot of little rituals. Now, he's going to have to get out to the top of the paint tonight. Got a little bit back deep in the game I watched against Minnesota. The one thing that, if I can give anybody any advice, a little bit Kirk McLean would be nice. Kirk used to do a little hamstring stretch, give her one of these, shake her out, do a couple arm throws, and be like, let's go, guys, let's go play.
And without knowing that, the way he played, it looked like it was pretty casual as well. Ronald Kennens, the newcomer to the Vancouver Canucks lineup, been there a couple of weeks, and we found some similarities to that man in number 41 and the former number 31. Is that the one you wore the most, Corey?
Hey.
My goodness. Yeah, it's...
I swear to God, I was not in Latvia 20 years ago. I swear to God.
First of all, that's what, unfortunately, kid, that's what you're going to look like in 20 years. And you know what? You're going to shrink 7 inches, too, because he's 6'4".
First of all, it looks like you were arrested.
Get a big mouth.
What that's about. What do you look for the Canucks tonight to break this lost win streak right out of the gate?
Keep it going. You know, this is going to be a tough one out of the gates. The Boston Bruins are a little bit of a slide right now. They want to get things going themselves for Vancouver. Get that game going like they did against Chicago. Get that lead.
Yeah, Calgary tomorrow night for the Canucks. So 3 straight against teams they love to hate. And should the building be rocking, we'll find out right after this as we head to Rogers Arena. John, Murph, and Irv for standing by. Canucks and Bruins on a Friday. Love it.
Beautiful look at downtown Vancouver, Rogers Arena, and the second visit for the Boston Bruins since, you know what, from June of 2011. Canucks back home. First of a back-to-back. They play again tomorrow night in Calgary. Let's check out the starting goalies for this one. Brought to you by Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the NHL. Tuukka Rask was the NHL's third star for January. February hasn't been as kind. He's lost 3 of 4 since the flip of the calendar. Up against Ryan Miller, who plays career game number 600 tonight. His last outing was a rough one. He gave up 5 on 18 shots and a half night's work in Minnesota. Daniel Sedin had the overtime winner in Chicago a couple of nights ago, the 13th of his career. That's tied for 4th most among active NHL players. Up against his old friend, Brad Marchand, who, as you might expect, was booed lustily when he was introduced as a starter for this game here in Vancouver. Marchand on left wing, Patrice Bergeron in the middle, Riley Smith on the right, Zdeno Chara, Kevin Miller on defense for Boston. Daniel Sedin flanked by brother Henrik and Alex Burrows up front. Alex Edler, Chris Tanev on the blue line, and we're underway. Tanev with a pass to center. Daniel Sedin tried to tip it through. Blocked by Kevin Miller, who sends the puck the other way. Now Henrik Sedin trying to poke it forward, but it's back into the Vancouver zone. Marchand will flush Tanev out and forces a near turnover. Edler able to help his defense partner out, and here come the Canucks. Daniel Sedin has Burrows on the other side. He shoots off the arm of Rask and over the glass. Tuukka Rask coming to his left. Got it on the shoulder, I think, in a big early stop.
And the post. Off the shoulder, off the post. Alex Burrows had to reach back for this pass, and that gave Rask time to come across. 2-on-1, nice pass, and Rask has to come across. It's off his shoulder and off the crossbar. See, Alex Burrows just had to reach back a little bit for that one, and that split second gave Rask time to get over.
Bo Horvat comes out for this face-off against David Krejci, who wins it back to Dougie Hamilton. Hamilton paired on defense with Dennis Seidenberg, who throws the puck forward. It's past Lucas Spiza. Miller's going to have to come out and play that one. Gently to the end boards. Milan Lucic there to intercept. Lucic didn't get anything on his pass back. It's intercepted by Yannick Hansen, who carries to center and tips the puck in. Ronald Kennens bumps Hamilton, frees up the puck for Hansen, who centers for Bo Horvat. That was knocked away by Seidenberg. David Pastrnak, the 18-year-old, takes a drop pass from Hamilton, trying to step around Spiza, who knocked the puck away. Pastrnak, the distinction of being the youngest player in both the AHL and the NHL this season. He doesn't turn 19 until May. Here's Dan Hamhuis, wristing one in behind the Boston goal. Derek Dorset after the puck. Chris Kelly for Boston got it out to center. Here's Ryan Stanton, pressured by Carl Soderberg. Stanton coughs up the puck. Louis Eriksson trying to get it ahead. But Dorset forces the puck to Zach Kassian. He's got Matthias in front. Kassian centers. Matthias scores! Those two continue to be red hot. Matthias from Kassian, and it's 1-0.
The Bruins are really trying to force the issue at center ice. They did it on the Sedin's first shift, and here they are again. They're trying to force the issue at center ice. It created a 2-on-1 earlier on the Burrows chance, and here's another one. What a beautiful pass from Zach Kassian. There's a 2-on-1 as Krug gets trapped. Kassian throws an aerial pass across, and Sean Matthias with the finish made sure that he got it up and over to Rask.
Matthias with his 11th. Kassian came in with goals in 3 straight games. Now he has an assist to extend his point streak. And the Canucks draw first blood here against the Boston Bruins in minute 41 into the hockey game. That's 3 goals in the last 4 games for Matthias. Now here's Radim Vrbata. He's on a 7-game point streak, which is tied with Matt Zuccarello of the Rangers for the longest active in the NHL right now. Daniel Paille tips the puck into the Vancouver zone. There's Craig Cunningham, the trail man, the former Vancouver Giant, into the forecheck. Cunningham from behind the net, battling Chris Tanev. Lyndon Vay passes to the middle, and here comes Alex Edler. Gets the puck to Vrbata, who'll start a change by tipping the puck in deep. Kevin Miller in his own zone. Marchand flips the puck to the Vancouver line. Spiza takes it for Vancouver. Lead pass for Daniel Sedin, just out of his reach. This will draw an icing whistle. Just shy of the 3-minute mark. An early goal for Vancouver, an early winner on Score and Win for Safeway and Quaker granola bars. Kelly Brook of Telqua, congratulations. He won a Troy-built single-stage snow thrower.
What a pass by Zach Kassian. Derek Dorsett chips it ahead. It's a 2-on-1, and Kassian throws a little aerial pass over to Sean Matthias. Tips it by Tuukka Rask.
Henrik Sedin waved out of his face-off. Daniel will move in to take it. Canucks with the first 2 shots of the hockey game. Both good chances. Burrows stopped. Matthias scoring. Here's Miller off the draw, rolling puck, and he drilled it wide of the net. Burrows tips the puck past Chara and down into Boston zone. Miller from behind his net. Chara, the Boston captain, throws the puck forward. Miller out to play it behind the goal. Dan Hamhuis gets the puck to Burrows. Daniel Sedin, left wing and center. Shoots the puck around for Henrik. He lets it go to Burrows and overskated the puck. Now tries to come up with it again. Henrik Sedin in to help out. Soderberg battling for Boston, but here's Daniel Sedin from the corner. Up the boards to Henrik. Soderberg trying to stay with him. Burrows gets the puck. Both Sedins are after it again, and down from the right point comes Chris Tanev. Behind the net to Daniel Sedin. Daniel for Henrik. It's past him, picked up by Marchand, and here come the Bruins. Torrey Krug in over the Vancouver line. Cuts across the slot with a wrist shot. That caught the outside of the post, I think. Krug gets the puck again, throws it in front, tipped away by Tanev. Here's Hamilton with a long shot. That missed the net. Louis Eriksson after the puck. Daniel Sedin's on him. Hansen gets it to the line, not out, thrown in front, blocked by Edler. And he'll have a chance to clear for Vancouver, getting the puck ahead to center. Bo Horvat picks it up. Chris Kelly takes possession for the Bruins and also takes a hit from Ronald Kennins, and the fans react to that. Kennins not shy to throw the weight around, and he's had a couple early hits in this hockey game. Nearing the 5-minute mark, first period, 1-0 Vancouver. Adam Clendening passes in his own zone to Ryan Stanton. And here comes Clendening to center. Ahead to Kassian. Rings the puck around. Can't get it by Rask behind the goal. He leaves for Hamilton. Gives it away. Chance for Matthias. In on goal. Deep scores!
Tuukka Rask has only allowed more than 2 goals once in his last 9 starts. And the Canucks in 5:03 here of the first period have a pair of Tuukka Rask. Good to get out, but then this pass, what was that? And there's Sean Matthias. Tuukka Rask leaves it. Dougie Hamilton throws it, almost hits his goalie in the back. And Rask is in panic mode then. Corey Hirsch won't like this. Scrambling. No goaltender interference, and Claude Julien is calling a timeout. His team has lost 3 of their last 4, and he is not happy. They're starting a 5-game trip. That's one of the things they said. We have to start this on a positive note. They're in playoff precarious position for the playoffs. Wanted to get off to a good start, not happening.
127 scoring, his second of the night, set up by the 27 on the other team. Another winner on Score and Win. For Safeway and Quaker granola bars from Burnaby, Jordan Pencharski, you've won a Garmin Verb Elite HD action camera.
Canucks hockey. Brought to you by Subway. Discover the new chicken cordon bleu melt and Montreal smoked meat sandwich. Subway. Eat fresh.
You heard Brad Fay saying the Canucks haven't won 2 in a row in a while. They've alternated wins and losses in their last 8 games. Off to a quick start in this one, and Matthias has both. Now he plays the puck to center out of the reach of Zach Kassian, and the Bruins get it back into the Vancouver zone. Dan Hamhuis to Sean Matthias. He gets to center and dumps the puck into the Boston end. Kassian on the forecheck. Puck around to the other side, held in by Lucas Spiza, who ran into Milan Lucic. Sean Matthias does not have a career hat trick, but 2 early ones in this one against the Boston Bruins, and he's in after the puck again. Waiting for help with the Canucks changing. Matthias to Vrbata, had to reach for that one. He chopped it wide of the goal. Stanton towards the net. Vrbata couldn't make contact on the tip. Here's Higgins for Vrbata. Centering pass. Higgins going to the goal, couldn't take it cleanly. Lyndon Vay was there as well. Here's Pasternak for Boston. Runs into Ryan Stanton. Vay gets the loose puck. Gets it ahead, but he gave it away to Daniel Paille. Gregory Campbell to the blue line. Seidenberg long shot. Deflected off the crossbar. And Campbell couldn't put the rebound home. What a chance for the Boston Bruins. But somehow that puck stayed out. Vay again fails to get it out. Here's Campbell. He's got Paille in front. The pass tipped away by Clendening. And the puck is over the glass for a whistle. Canucks with a giveaway. Bruins with a close call, but Ryan Miller can thank his crossbar for this one.
Kassian has a goal in 3 consecutive games. It's clear he doesn't have a set celebration. This is the tap in against the Penguins. He decides really not to celebrate that much, just to stare down. And then against Minnesota, it was a happy celebration. He enjoyed himself. Finally in Chicago, finally gave him a road trip. He was happy, and then turned into an angry celebration. He said he wanted to celebrate because he really hadn't played in about 7 minutes leading up to that goal.
He was boisterous.
Glad to have his brother along on the father's trip.
Alex Burrows stick broke as he shot the puck into the Boston zone. Henrik Sedin intercepts the ring around from goaltender Rask. Tried to get the puck to the blue line, blocked by Marchand. Here's Daniel Sedin. He gets it through to Tanev. Left point, Alex Edler, wrist shot. That broke the stick of Riley Smith. Jannik Hansen to Tanev with room. Tanev cuts wide. Now throws one on goal. That was blocked by Kevin Miller. Here's Hansen. Replaced Burrows after Burrows broke his stick. Puck comes back to Edler. Daniel Sedin. Round for Henrik. Behind the net, Daniel. Hansen's in front. Daniel upended. There'll be a penalty here to Bergeron. Canucks up a pair, go to the power play. The first penalty of the hockey game to Patrice Bergeron.
There's Daniel Sedin skating by Bergeron. He reaches in to get the puck, and it's a trip. I could understand, okay, I was reaching in to get the puck, but still he had Daniel's feet, and that's a tripping penalty.
Canucks to the power play, brought to you by Subway. Discover the new authentic Montreal smoked meat sandwich. Subway, eat fresh. Canucks scoreless with the man advantage of 13 of the last 16 games. Start with the second unit after the Sedin shift. And they'll start from their own zone as the puck is wristed all the way down the ice. Hamhuis and Clendening of the point man. Up front, Lyndon Vay, Chris Higgins, and Derek Dorsett as Hamhuis drives the puck in from center. Higgins tried to get it around for Dorsett, tipped by Seidenberg and cleared out by Louis Eriksson. Bruins on a roll with the penalty kill. Just 1 goal against in their last 8 games. They've killed 23 of the last 24. Higgins moves in. Plays the puck behind the goal, cleared around, waiting is Clendening. Pass for Hamhuis, who takes it on the ricochet. Tried to hook the puck down for Vay, who's able to win the battle with Paille. Lyndon Vay to Dan Hamhuis. Adam Clendening. Hamhuis again takes a look, lets it go. Rask the save. Dorsett there, and now he's going to hear about it from Adam McQuaid. Everybody congregates in front with 1:06 to go on the penalty to Bergeron.
Well, now the Sedins will come out. There, Dorsett lines up. He's looking for the tip in on this shot. The Canucks get the puck to the middle, shoot it. Tuukka Rask is able to pick it up, take it off the logo. Dorsett quite can't get himself lined up so that he's the good screen. Rask is able to find it. Dorsett doesn't give much of a shot, but the way it's going, the Bruins need some life, and McQuaid tries to provide that.
Sedin's come on. Burrows and Vrbata. The 4-forward set with Alex Edler, the lone point man. Sedin. The all-time leader in power play goals, now also second in overall goals, past Trevor Linden. Trails only Marcus Naslund. But he jumps on this face-off, and they'll have to do it again.
With Bergeron in the penalty box, David Krejci is out there taking the face-off, and Henrik Sedin saying, well, I haven't even had my stick down yet.
Krejci wins it. Battle for the puck. 3 Bruins down below the goal line. Krejci gave one of the Sedins a little cross-check, and the puck is sent down to the Vancouver blue line.
Canucks power play has been struggling, but a lot of it has to do with the lack of face-off.
Here's a big hit by Marchand, forcing a turnover. Canucks get the puck back. 35 seconds to go on the power play. Edler rushes to center, drops to Henrik Sedin. He carries in right up the middle. Henrik onto the left wing to Daniel. Daniel Sedin to Burrows, back to Daniel. Here's Edler, down to Daniel. Henrik Sedin. Pervada wants the pass on the far side. It comes near side to Daniel. Shades towards the middle. Still with the puck. Edler at the line. Here's Verbata, right point. Edler with room, takes a look, lets it go. It's off the leg and wide of the goal. Chara can't reach the puck, but the pass gets by Daniel Sedin, held in by Edler. Power plays over. Canucks still have the puck though. Daniel Sedin into the corner for Henrik. Centers for Edler. It took a swing and missed the puck. Now he's got to hustle. Here comes Bergeron. He's got Kelly going to the net. Eriksson as well. Bergeron shoots, stopped by Miller. Loose puck, they jam it in. I don't know if Kelly got his stick on that one, but in the transition after the power play, the Bruins get within 1.
Well, that's a problem when you've got 4 forwards and a defenseman. Alex Burrows was the only defenseman out there. He's coming in. Pass goes by him, and now he's in trouble. He gets back. But the other defenseman who comes on for Radim Verbata never gets set. Bergeron shot, and then the rebound jammed in. I think Bergeron will get this one, John. I think he gets his own rebound.
Jams it off Tanev, maybe.
There it is.
We'll see how they score it, but it looked like it may well be Bergeron who goes from the penalty box to the score sheet. And a big goal for the Bruins after the quick start for the Vancouver Canucks. Here's Ronald Kenning centering. Horvat, pass to the side. Hansen had to reach back for it and couldn't get a chance on goal. Lucic to Krejci. In on the right wing. Drag move and a shot off Stanton and one. Tanev takes a hard hit from Lucic. Now at the line, Krug with a shot. He drifted that off the target. Dougie Hamilton. Checked by Tanev. It is Bergeron's goal unassisted. Here comes Hansen. Pass for Horvat. He was checked before he could get a shot away. Shots are 4-apiece. Mathias has a couple early ones for the Canucks. And he's out there right now. Spiza to Kassian. Turn the puck over, but Spiza there to help him out. And now Mathias advances into the Boston zone. McQuaid around for Seidenberg, and McQuaid took a pretty good look there from Dorsey. Here come the Bruins. Smith with a cross corner shooting. And he's being pressured by Marchand. Gets the puck around. Kassian couldn't find it. And the Bruins go to work in the Vancouver zone. Marchand drags the puck back towards the blue line. Here's Soderberg. Leaving for Riley Smith. Now Soderberg turning at the side. Wrap around the check. Couldn't get a shot on goal. But he gets the puck again. Marchand from the corner. Bruins coming on here. After getting within 1. Long shot. McQuaid kicked out. Rebound. Seidenberg and a blocker save by Miller. Soderberg hooks the puck to the blue line, but it's past Dougie Hamilton and down into the Boston zone. Of the 3 games the Canucks play in the next 4 nights, this one certainly the least important in terms of standings ramifications, but it is easily the most anticipated. And you can see why through 12 minutes of hockey here between Vancouver and Boston.
Well, they had such an emotional win in Chicago. It'd be nice to get some momentum, something they haven't had in their last 8 games.
Bruins after the puck in the Vancouver zone again. Kelly on the forecheck. Puck dug out by Eriksson. Back to Chara. Lets it fly. And a stick save by Miller, who turned that one over the glass. In the corner to his left. Rough start for the Bruins. But they had reason to celebrate moments ago as Bergeron made it 2-1.
Brad Marchand, perhaps the Bruins player the Canucks fans love to hate the most. This is the last time in this building. The Bruins are losing badly, but Marchand decided to give it to the fans and fake kissing the ring, also hoisting the Stanley Cup. He says it's something he really felt like doing at the time. Looking back, he probably shouldn't. They've worked a lot on having him control his emotions, but I kind of thought it was funny at the time.
Bruins win a face-off, and Miller makes a blocker save on a long shot from Dennis Seidenberg. Now we have an injured Canuck. Bo Horvat is down. Henrik Sedin in the corner, clutching his face and heading to the Vancouver bench. And looks like his left eye may be bothering him. Where's a visor?
Well, now they're talking. It's going to be a high sticking penalty. And you can see Henrik is bleeding.
It'll be Campbell, and it'll probably be more than 2 minutes. Tom Cowell with the announcement. It is a double minor to Gregory Campbell. And the Canucks.
Bo Horvat replacing Henrik Sedin as Henrik's getting repaired.
There have been many clamoring for this. Maybe not on the first unit, but for Bo Horvat to get an opportunity with the power play. Both centers waved out of this face-off. Marchand will take it against Alex Burrows. They tie each other up. Puck winds up in the corner. Horvat battling Miller. It comes free to Chara, who gets the puck ahead, and Marchand brings it to center. Marchand in, checked by Verbata. Puck out to center onto the stick of Chara. And now wristed down the ice by Kevin Miller. Here's Alex Edler dropping to Daniel Sedin. Takes a return pass from Verbata. Daniel moves in and shoots the puck around for Burrows, who helps it along to the right point. Verbata back in deep for Burrows. 40 seconds gone to the 4-minute power play. Great opportunity here for the Canucks to retake a 2-goal lead. Verbata fakes the shot. Works his way to the corner. Here's Horvat. Back to Edler. Verbata at the side. Back to Edler. Fakes the one-timer. Daniel Sedin. Minute gone in the 4-minute power play. Centers. Burrows hit the crossbar. Underside of the bar. It came down, stayed out, and here comes Eriksson shorthanded. Moving in on Edler. Able to work his way to the end boards. Edler pins him there. Great chance for Alex Burrows on the redirect.
Another great play by Daniel Sedin.
2.5 minutes to go in the Vancouver power play. Here's Lyndon Bay. Plays give and go with Dorsett to move the puck in. Derek Dorsett turning in the right wing. Clendening to Hamhuis. Clendening took a look, bobbled the puck. Now back to the near side. Hamhuis and Bay trying to decide who will take the puck. Canucks don't have an official shot on this power play because Burrows hit iron. Higgins in deep. Dorsett checked by Seidenberg. Krejci's after the puck. Checked by Chris Higgins. First half of the double minors over. The Canucks are 0 for 2 on the power play, working on number 3, and puck slides out to center. First unit will start to come back on as Vane carries the puck back in. Hamhuis for Daniel Sedin. Puts one on goal. That bounced. And Rask had to be careful, able to grab the puck and hang on for the whistle.
This period brought to you by Toyota. Comfort, style, technology, and one incredible drive. The 2015 Toyota RAV4. Let's play.
This is how you draw it up. On the chalkboard, Alex Burrows gets in that middle area. Forward can't take him, defenseman can't take him. Tip in and just can't beat the crossbar.
Still no Henrik Sedin. But here he comes over the boards as Bo Horvat heads to the bench. Henrik, who took the high stick near the left eye to draw this 4-minute power play, is out there for Vancouver. Miller had his stick lifted by Edler. Canucks work to come up with a puck in the corner to the right of Rask. Marchand lines up with it. And he'll move ahead slowly before passing to Patrice Bergeron. Under a minute to go in the double minor to Gregory Campbell. Henrik Sedin drops for Hamhuis, who had to turn inside his own line. Now the Canucks no momentum moving through center. And Henrik turns back. Pass ahead, Vrbata has some room. Puck knocked away by McQuaid. Vrbata gets it again. Saucers to Hamhuis. Vrbata to Henrik Sedin. Hamhuis sneaking in back door. Henrik from the right wing corner. Goal line feed, Burrows. Try to get it back for Vrbata. That's broken up. And Eriksson tips the puck down the ice. John, you've talked about in the last dozen games or so Vancouver's power play serving as a momentum killer.
Yes.
And this one appears potentially on the way to do the same as Kassian gets a shot right as the power play came to an end. Stopped by Raskin, now into it with Chara in the corner with the linesman trying to get in between.
Here's a shot by Zach Kassian, and Zdeno Chara with the little extra shove. And the Bruins trying to get their intimidation mode going. Canucks power play, John, you talked about it. It's hard to get going, and I talked about it. Faceoffs are 9-3 in favor of the Bruins. And it's hard when you don't have control to start. The Alex Burrows chance, great play, good chance, but that's the only one in the full 4-minute power play.
3.5 minutes to go in the first. And Sean Matthias won that faceoff, but Seidenberg got on the puck, overskated by Lucic and picked up by Zach Kassian. Lucas Spiza with a pass to Dan Hamhuis. Matthias couldn't handle that one clean. Krejci tips the puck ahead. Spiza and Lucic collide in front of the Vancouver bench, and then Hamhuis stepped into his man, and down is Pastrnak. There'll be a penalty to Hamhuis for what appeared to be a bit of a high hit, maybe from behind. And the 18-year-old just now struggling to get up.
Pastrnak checking the side of his face. There's the Spiza hit on Lucic. And here comes Dan Hamhuis. Left elbow.
Hamhuis headed to the box. Here's Murph.
John, don't forget about Safeway's $1 million score and win if any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game. Janice Volko of Burnaby could win $1 million.
A boarding call to Hamhuis at 16:54. Just like that, the Bruins, after killing off 3 Vancouver power plays, an opportunity to tie the game here late in the first period. And the Canucks penalty killing, which has been so good all year, is into a real tough spell. 10 goals against in the last 8 games. Still ranked tied for 5th in the NHL.
You take out Brad Richardson, take out Kevin Bieksa. So the 2 guys that do most of the penalty killing.
Here's a shot by Bergeron, left pad save by Ryan Miller. Smith with a shot. That was tipped, and Miller, a nice save on a redirect in front. Bruins still with the puck. Riley Smith from the left wing tried to center that one, pinballed into the corner. 30 seconds gone to the power play. Bruins have a shot fired wide. That was Bergeron letting fly off the left side, and the puck ricochets to center. Bergeron to David Krejci. Dougie Hamilton gets the pass through to Louis Eriksson. Soderberg from the corner. Edler watching him. Soderberg reverses. And at the right point, Dougie Hamilton gets the puck. Eriksson to the goal line. Soderberg to the other side for Krejci. Under a minute to go on the man advantage. Under 2 remaining in the first. Canucks leading by a goal here. Soderberg, his stick broke as he tried to let go on the one-timer from Eriksson. Chris Higgins picks up the loose puck, and he dumps it down into the Boston end. .30 seconds to go on the boarding liner to Dan Hamhuis. Chara backhands the puck in. Hansen trying to get it out, but the Bruins keep possession. Krejci, though, had that come outside the line. And the whistle blows on the offside with 17 seconds to go in the Boston power play.
Bruins power play just sets it up for shots. Claude Julien, the old defenseman, they throw it around and shoot. Hope for a rebound. You talked about the puck pinballing here, there, and everywhere. They get in front, look for rebounds, look for tip-ins. Ryan Miller made a good save on a tip-in from about 5 feet in front.
Pastrnak and Stanton doing some jousting here before the drop of the puck. Chara gets the puck across to Torrey Krug. Try to drop pass. Henrik Sedin picked that up. And Tanev's able to deliver the puck to neutral ice. 5 seconds left in the man advantage. And here comes Hamhuis back on. Bruins 0 for 1, managed a couple of shots on Ryan Miller, but they continue to trail by a goal here as we move into the final minute of the first period. Henrik Sedin ahead for Radim Vrbata. That one right through to Rask. He'll take the whistle, allowing us to check in with Murph.
Ash has given you the opportunity for a free 20-day workout pass. Check the back of your Canucks ticket to see if you have won. Visit snclubs.com/Canucks for more information.
You're feeling better now. You go for a few workouts, I'm sure.
Next up is my intermission grilled cheese. Face-off win for Bo Horvat. Jannik Hansen back for Lucas Spisar. Ronald Kennins in a battle with Gregory Campbell. Spisar tips the puck in behind the goal. Adam McQuaid is after it. And that one goes off the glass, winds up on the stick of Campbell. Ahead to Pyatt, who one-handed the puck in. He thought he might have been offside, so stopped skating. But the linesman allowed play to continue. 20 seconds to go in the period. And Seidenberg sends one ahead for Payet, who tips the puck to the end boards. And he's hit by Cunningham. Jannik Hansen gets the puck. He'll skate it back, takes a look at the clock, and be content with a 1-goal lead through 20 here at Rogers Arena. What a start for Sean Matthias to this one. He scored twice in the first 5 minutes. His 11th and 12th of the season. Ryan Miller beaten once. Patrice Bergeron got the Boston goal halfway through the opening period. Good pace, good energy, good feel to this one. A 1-goal Vancouver lead as we send it back to Brad.
Canucks and Bruins renewing hostilities. Solid first. Canucks up 2-1 thanks to a pair of goals by Sean Matthias.
In advance of the second period, it's John Garrett's Fresh Take, brought to you by Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Oh, he liked to spread things around. Here's our Fresh Take. Look at that little pass by Derek Dorsett. He gets his second assist, but he started the play. Zach Kassian gets it through. And on the second goal, here comes Dorsett. The pressure on Dougie Hamilton, who was going to go around behind the net, and instead, Dorsett creates that turnover, and that's our Fresh Take.
Puck out of play to start period number 2. And Derek Dorsett didn't get an assist on that second one. It was the unassisted effort as Hamilton threw it up the middle.
But you could see that he played a part in it.
Absolutely.
Played over 5 minutes in that first period. That's a power play time.
Zdeno Chara's pass blocked by Alex Burrows. Now Miller trying to advance the puck. Canucks take control at their own blue line. In on the left wing, a slap shot from Henrik Sedin, gloved by Tuukka Rask, and the whistle blows 25 seconds into the second period.
When's the last time you saw that? A 35-foot slap shot by Henrik Sedin.
He's taking a page from his brothers.
Boy, oh boy, that was a rarity.
So rare that we got to look again.
Yes.
Did it really happen?
It's bouncing a little bit. You can see it flutter, and Tuukka Rask able to grab it. I'm sure Henrik was hoping there'd be a rebound from there.
They might have been admonished in the intermission to shoot more, despite the good start, despite the 3 power plays to 1 for Boston. The Canucks were outshot 10-7 in the first period. Now we get another puck out of play and 3 early whistles with just 39 seconds elapsed in the second.
Well, Henrik Sedin has only had 55 shots on net coming into this game. Willie Desjardins, I'm sure, not happy with the way the power play went, especially the 4-minute power play, and only 1 chance, and that was the Alex Burrows tip that hit the crossbar.
Dan Hamhuis can't get the puck by Milan Lucic. It's centered. Pasternak with a shot. He drilled it wide. Bruins keep possession of the puck. Krejci in front for Pasternak. He was checked. Here's a lead pass. Hansen trying to get behind Krug. Out comes Rask. Hansen gets around him. Jannik Hansen looking in front. Horvat shot it wide. Rask was way out of position. Eventually trying to block the pass. And Horvat missed the net.
Give David Krejci credit for coming back.
Still 2 on Canucks. A minute and a half gone in the second. Adam Clendening banks the puck in from his own side of center. That'll be an icing call on a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
Well, Tuukka Rask gambling on this one. The speed of Jannik Hansen, rolling puck. Rask missed it. Krejci comes back and goes right to there. I think he might have got a little piece of it.
You're right.
Krejci goes into the middle, and Bo Horvat's shot goes off Krejci's stick. Don't sound so surprised.
When you're right?
Yes.
Dennis Seidenberg. And a puck put in offside. I was just this short of being as surprised as I was when Henrik let go with the slap shot.
Yes.
Mentioned earlier, Sean Matthias, no career hat tricks. A couple goals in this game to start things off.
Coaches matching lines here, and I'm sure Corey Hirsch and Louis talking about how well Matthias and Kassian are playing together, and they're not getting a whole lot of ice time. Brad Kassian only had 4 shifts in the first period.
Louis Eriksson on the forecheck. Puck comes to Soderberg. Henrik Sedin trying to check him in the corner. Puck comes to Daniel Sedin. He finds Chris Tanev. 4 Canucks to center. Burrows towards the goal. Burrows shoots and Rask able to make the save. Burrows again trying to bank it. That went through the crease and out the other side. Kelly can't get the puck past Henrik Sedin, who kicks it to brother Daniel. He sends a sharp angle shot on goal. Bouncing puck. Burrows is after it. But it's picked up and brought out by Chris Kelly. Kelly chips the puck into the Vancouver zone. Tanev tried to get it across, and it came right into Miller, who covers up, and we'll check in with Murph.
Got a second to tell you that Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game between the Canucks and Bruins is Quaker granola bars.
All sorts of flavors. You like the chocolate covered ones, I know.
And you just like to dip them in butter. Gregory Campbell against Lyndon Vey on this faceoff. Campbell had a chance to win it. Missed the puck that allowed the Canucks to take possession. Stanton hit solidly by Payet. From his knees, he shovels the puck forward to Higgins, comes back to him, and now Adam Clendening. Nicely to Higgins, who's in on the left wing. Higgins with a wrist shot, knocked down by Rask. A couple times this period, he's been unable to squeeze the puck with the trapper. Bruins clear to center, Stanton fires to Vervada. Wrist shot, and the blocker saved by Rask. Higgins from the other side, drilled it wide. Here's Clendening at the right point. His shot tipped by Vervada, stopped by Rask. Canucks keep the puck in. Gets by Vervada, but here's Clendening. Across for Higgins. Good zone time here, Vancouver. Verbata, Higgins shoots, and Rask winds up with the puck. With Vancouver buzzing around the Boston zone, and the Canucks already with 8 shots in the period to none for the Bruins.
You talked about how well Tuukka Rask has been playing. The Boston Bruins decided in their last home game, they played 3 in a row, 3 and 4 nights at home, to play Nick Svedberg. And Svedberg got the hook, so Rask never really had the game off. Ended up playing the last 2 periods of that game.
Shot by Edler just goes wide. Tanev in deep. Here's Ronalds Kennings behind the net for Jannik Hansen. Bergeron winds up with the puck. Ahead to Riley Smith, who was bumped by Edler, but the puck escaped the zone. Edler has to track that puck down. Now fires near side. Hansen. Puck hit the linesman, and Jannik Hansen gives him a glare. Greg Dvorsky. Hughes to Horvat. He'll start a change by playing the puck in behind the Boston goal. Here's Dennis Seidenberg. Rick wide for Smith. That was too hot to handle. Hughes turns with the puck. Ahead to Mathias, who deflects that one forward. He and Seidenberg collide. Puck cleared up the near side. Lucic trying to move up. Checked neatly by Spiza, who dumps the puck back for Dan Hughes. Shot still 8-0 Vancouver in the period, 4.5 minutes in. Hughes delays before finding Kassian on the left wing. Miller rides him off the puck. Here's a steal by Dorsey. Behind for Kassian. Lucic moves back to check in. Tips the puck to the near side, but Mathias is onto it. To the blue line, Clendening with a pass for Kassian, who tried to tip it on goal, but the puck winds up on the stick of Miller. Kevin Miller, lead pass off the stick of Krejci. Lucic moves in on Clendening, who gets the puck around to Stanton. Out to center, here's Henrik Sedin with a drop pass to Daniel. Into the Boston zone, Daniel to Burrows. Quick pad saved by Rask. Not sure if that was supposed to be a pass across or a shot, but Rask has the puck.
I think that was supposed to be a pass. Henrik was on the far side. You can see Henrik on the other side of the picture. That shot would have gone right straight through. And Tuukka Rask with a good save on that one. And you can see how hot he has been lately. And the resurgence of the Bruins, who were in desperate times.
He was the NHL's 3rd star in the month of January. Tuukka Rask. He's lost 3 of 4 to begin February. Chris Tanev deep in his own zone. Eludes the check of Chris Kelly. And Henrik Sedin's pass is disrupted by Louis Eriksson. Miller leaves the puck for Tanev. Henrik Sedin. Daniel Sedin. Here's Burrows. Trying to drop for Daniel. Chara takes the puck. Henrik Sedin steals. Henrik up to Daniel. To the net. And that was blocked by Chara. Henrik Sedin's pass for Burrows, picked off by Soderberg, and he leaves for Dennis Seidenberg. Say that 3 times quickly. Chris Kelly to Carl Soderberg. Shades right. The wrist shot attempt is off the stick of Tanev and over the glass for a whistle. Good zone time start to the second for the Canucks, still up a goal.
Welcome back to Vancouver. A big, big evening for that man right there. Craig Cunningham playing his first game in Rogers Arena. Of course, he's from Trail. His father, Alvin, died when he was 6 in a car crash. His mom is in attendance tonight. She said it's such a huge deal for him to be playing here. He won't believe it. She can't believe it. Still pinches herself that he's in the National Hockey League. We should also give a little credit to a friend of ours by the name of Ray Ferraro. Served as a surrogate father for Cunningham when he was growing up. And today, Cunningham said he wouldn't have made it to the NHL if it not for Ferraro, who works for that, well, that station that shall not be named.
Here's Gregory Camlin with a slap shot off line. Stanton and wide. Now a chance for Paille and a stop on the rebound. Campbell put it off Miller and the puck line up in the corner. Paille hits Verbata, but he's able to get the puck out, and here comes Lyndon Vay. Vay to Verbata. Here's Higgins. Didn't get much on that shot. Verbata tried to tip the puck in front. Run up on the back of the goal. Now the Canucks. Higgins to Clendening. Stanton left point. Verbata high slot. Trying to backhand her. That was blocked. Here's a chance for Clendening. Lets it rip, and that's off Campbell. And over the glass for a whistle. Pace continues to be at a high level here.
Well, one too many passes for the Canucks. This one ends up back. Clendening takes the shot. Gregory Campbell is in line, gets it off his stick, steers it wide. Cunningham also talking about what a job Don Hay did with him when he was with the Giants and how he learned to be a professional playing with the junior team.
No icing on this one. As Jannik Hansen swoops back for the puck. Pass blocked. Bruins work to hold the puck in the Vancouver zone. Brad Marchand. Ridden into the boards by Alex Edler. Tanev fighting Riley Smith for the puck. Bergeron's there as well. Horvat gave him a little shot. And Cannons passes back. That one's right in front off a Vancouver stick. Here's Bergeron. Horvat trying to stay with him. Now Horvat intercepts. Ahead to Hansen. Onto the left wing. Cannons works his way behind the goal. Ronalds Cannons out the near side. Passes to the line. Lucas Spiza shoots, and that was well wide of the goal. Miller sends the puck around for Krug. And he gets it by Spiza and down the ice. This will be icing for a face-off in the Boston zone.
This season, stay out of the penalty box. Find gifts you'll adore, like Arctic Brilliance Canadian Diamonds only at People's, Canada's diamond store. Let love shine.
Sedin's come out after the icing. And it's Henrik Sedin against David Krejci on the faceoff. Daniel Sedin lines up with the puck. Backhands one off Burrows to the other side. Hanhus behind for Daniel Sedin. Henrik on the right wing boards. Puck gets by Daniel. Smith gets it ahead. Canucks really want to hold it in. This unit for Boston's been out there a while. Hanhus will play the puck forward quickly. And here's Burrows. Only Marchand was able to change, no one else. Miller intercepts the puck. And now it's off a stick and over the glass. And that'll allow Boston to complete its substitutions here. 8.5 minutes into the second period.
You're right about that. The Canucks just couldn't keep it in. Lucas Spiza came across, tried to shoot it in deep. Hit a stick just out over the blue line.
Zach Kassian back onto the ice along with Matthias and Dorsett. Puck squirts free to the far side. Dougie Hamilton's onto it for Boston. Plays to center. Ripped back in by Alex Edler. Kassian after the puck. He and Hamilton collide. Kassian came up with it. Had his stick knocked out of his hands, however, and Soderberg skates to center. Kassian grabs the stick of teammate Dan Hanhus at the bench, I believe. And now the puck brought out by Edler. It is a left-hand stick, the right-hand Kassian's playing with. And now he'll head to the bench, replaced by Verbata. Centering pass, intercepted by Chara. And that's a high stick for Verbata, so the play will stop and the face-off will come outside the Boston blue line.
Verbata didn't think that stick was high. He's shaking his head. I agree with him. That linesman very quick to raise the hand. And you see Verbata still shaking his head. Okay. Did he make contact? There's Greg Dvorsky with the arm up. Verbata's not that tall. You're not agreeing with me or disagreeing with me.
I prefer to keep my strong opinions for moments of the game that are really pertinent.
Yeah, you just want to stay on the side of the officials is what it is.
Here's Lyndon Bay moving. Dumps the puck around. Breaking centering pass. Verbata Geeks scores! Patience with a capital P. And Radim Verbata makes it 3-1.
Well, you can thank Greg Dvorsky for calling the high stick.
There you go.
Thank you, Greg Dvorsky, because it's on the shoot-in. that the Canucks are able to take control. And then, wow, what a move by Radim Vrbata. And the Canucks have a contest goal of the year. And Radim Vrbata has 2 or 3 that would be candidates. Look at that pass. And Radim Vrbata drags it around Tuukka Rask, and then almost from the goal line on his backhand is able to tuck it in just inside the post. The fans are watching it on the Jumbotron and show their appreciation.
His point streak's up to 8 games. Here's a pass at the other end for Paille that was chipped away. 21 goals for Radim Vrbata. Higgins and Vey get the assist at 9:26. And Chris Higgins isn't picking up points of late. Here's Horvat bringing the puck out of harm's way and ahead to Jannik Hansen. Krug had him lined up. Campbell. Round for Kevin Miller. Krug takes a hard hit from Hansen as he plays the puck forward, and now it's Kennan stepping into Campbell, and the Canucks are upping their physical game. Initiating. Gregory Campbell in on the left wing. Centering pass for Paille. Clendening winds up with the puck. Checked from behind by Daniel Paille. Puck is centered. Intercepted by Henrik Sedin. Clendening takes his pass. Plays a long one forward. Blocked by Hamilton. Who bounces the puck back into the Vancouver zone. 9.5 minutes left. Second period. 3-1 Canucks. Here's Burrows on the long lead pass. Finds Daniel Sedin. Works his way to the corner. Right point, Tanev. Left point, Edler. Daniel for Edler to fight off a hook. Now Burrows gets the puck in the corner. Sends it around for Alex Edler. Covering for him is Daniel Sedin at the left point. To the right point, Tanev. Back to Daniel Sedin. Lets it fly. Blocked. And now Riley Smith trying to get behind him. He's got Marchand with him. Tanev forces Smith to the corner. Attempts to tie him up there. Centering pass picked off by Burrows, and he feeds ahead. Here's Mathias trying to get around McQuaid. And diving out was Adam McQuaid to make the defensive play. Tanev gambled on that one. Puck got by him. Soderberg trying to move in. But the Canucks forced the puck back to neutral ice. Soderberg gets it and risks it in behind the Vancouver goal. 8.5 minutes to go in this second period of a very spirited affair at Rogers Arena. Canucks leading 3-1. Referee goes down. The fans react to Mike Lego taking a tumble in the Vancouver zone. Derek Dorsett has the puck, and he lugs it to center. Tips it past McQuaid and chases in the corner. McQuaid with a hard hit there, but Dorsett able to get the puck around for Kassian. Now the Bruins send it ahead to center. Eriksson flips the puck forward. Spiza dumps it the other way. Derek Dorsett collects for the Canucks. On to the left wing. Here's Mathias moving in. Sean Mathias in front for Kassian. The pass just went by him. Canucks will change as McQuaid collects the puck behind his own goal. Lucic gets around Higgins. Stanton had him lined up, and Lucic saw him at the last second. Now he hits Spiza and knocks his helmet askew, and eventually right off. Chance for Krug. He shoots wide. How much fun is this?
Yeah. Lucic, every time he's on the ice, either they hit her or they hit E.
Bruins still have the puck. Miller steps around Higgins. Wrist shot through traffic. Miller trying to cover. Can't do it. Lucic drops back. Krug in deep for Pastrnak, and his centering pass picked off. Canucks break out. 3 to center. Higgins, left side. Vrbata's going to the net. There's the pass! And he couldn't jam it home. Lucic on the back check got a good piece of it, but Vrbata still wound up with an opportunity. Higgins moves back in. He'll head to the bench after forcing the puck down the boards. Think the fans are liking this? Cunningham at center. Checked. Here come the Twins. Danielin on the left. Across. Kennan shoots. Glove saved by Rask. And he'll hang on for the whistle. Radim Vrbata front and center in this period. Got one there and narrowly missed just moments ago.
Yesterday was a huge day for Delta boy Brandon McMillan. Had his bags packed in Arizona. Thought he was going to the minors after being waived. Got picked up by the Vancouver Canucks, and being a local boy, he was awfully excited. Not in the lineup tonight with his Ireland, said it wouldn't be fair as he doesn't know the systems quite yet, but the tweet he sent out yesterday, 6-year-old me wouldn't believe this right now. I'm coming home at Vancouver Canucks. He's excited and can't wait to get in the lineup.
former Kelowna Rocket, had 67 points his last year in junior in 55 games.
Wearing number 21 at the morning skate today. Last worn by Zach Dalton last season.
Can he play the guitar?
Does he love Sarah McLachlan? A little over 6 minutes to go in the second period here in Vancouver. Bo Horvat holds the puck in. Here's Hansen. Daniel Sedin sends one towards the net. That hit Horvat as he was being checked in front. Puck cleared out. Daniel trying to get it across to Burrows. Kelly winds up with the puck and flips it into the Vancouver zone. Dan Hamhuis. Pass up the middle. Dan Sedin tips the puck into Boston territory. Rask around for Seidenberg. And he throws one to center behind the defensive Smith. Canucks were changing. Riley Smith shoots and he missed on the short side. Now Marchand with a shot. That hit the side of the goal. Henrik Sedin brings the puck up. Pass to Tanev. He carries it. Finds Burrows on the right wing. Back to Henrik Sedin. Bergeron trying to check in. Burrows gets the puck back to Edler. Intercepting is Seidenberg in the corner. He's got Canucks on either side. Now sweeps one ahead for Marchand, who was checked immediately by Dorsey. Bergeron finally able to clear, and Spiza goes back, being pursued by Riley Smith. Under 5 minutes to go in the second. Lucas Spiza content to wait with the puck. Now steps out and finds Derek Dorsey. He comes to the near side for Matthias, but Krejci skates back for Boston. David Krejci delays, tries a pass across. Lucic tips the puck down the boards. Edler breaks that up. Bruins get the puck back. Krejci to the blue line. Miller with a long shot. The other Miller, I think, made the save. Assuming that puck got through, now the Canucks ice it. And the face-off will come back into the Vancouver end.
Willie Desjardins. He's had a couple of changes. That last defense change, and we all know how many too many men on the ice penalties the Canucks have taken, the most in the league. That time the defense got trapped and Smith had the great chance.
Chris Higgins able to clear the zone off the drop, and the Canucks will attempt to change it. And now they'll be able to complete the change as Stanton intercepts the puck and passes to Lucas Spiza. 4 minutes to go in the second. Lyndon Vay. Couple of shifts at center, and he's into the Boston zone. Higgins lost control of the puck, but he's able to find Clendening at center, and he risks it back into the Boston end. Chara just unloads the puck down the ice. And this time it's an icing call against Boston. Dan.
Well, John, nominate someone that you think is naturally sweet, and they could win a Canucks VIP experience, including 4 tickets to a Canucks game, a Pepsi Next prize pack, a Canucks jersey, and a $100 concession gift card.
How's Valentine's going to be for those two?
Well, that was a lot of Boston sweaters in the warm-up.
Hansen rips a shot wide off the draw. Clendening moves down from the right point. Chara around for Dougie Hamilton. Hansen steals the puck, chips it ahead for Kennings. Chara trying to clear, held in by Horvat. He forces the puck towards the Boston goal. Now the Bruins send it up the near side. Again, the Canucks keep the puck in Boston territory, and Horvat strips it away from Zdeno Chara. Centers for Kennings off his stick, and the puck is out to neutral ice. Bruins want to make a change now. Canucks will do likewise. Hansen deflects the puck in and hustles to the bench. Rask gives it away. Daniel Sedin with a pass for Burrows, and Soderberg was able to get his stick on that one. Henrik Sedin Burrows plays dummy. Daniel from behind the goal. Henrik shoots, and that one sailed up and over the goal. Puck came outside the line. Stanton played it back in. And we'll take a break on the offside whistle. 2.5 to go in the second. Canucks lead by a pair.
Well, the only good thing about that for Tyler Seguin is they were playing in Dallas, and you've got your own doctor there, and you'll be able to be looked at right away.
Saw Corey Perry injured in a similar fashion. Keith Ballard hit earlier in the year. Riley Smith moves the puck over the Vancouver line. Sean Mathias drops it back to Alex Edler, and now takes a return pass from Chris Tanev. 2 minutes to go in the second period as Kassian chases after the puck in the Boston zone. He and Seidenberg in a sizable collision, and Kassian's out with the puck. Zach Kassian puts it back to the corner. Bergeron intercepts. Up for Smith, and a nice blind pass to Brad Marchand. Moving in on Tanev, who knocks the puck away. Derek Dorsett looks up ice. Pass to Mathias, who deflects the puck into the Boston zone and heads to the Vancouver bench. Pasternak in pursuit of Lucas Spiza, who passes around to Dan Hamhuis. Quick pivot to get away from the 18-year-old, but Pasternak's right back on him. Now Verbata drops back to Vey, and ahead for Higgins. He chases in on Kevin Miller. Miller out of the pile with the puck, but Verbata holds it in. Hamhuis a long shot, and that's sailed over top of the goal. Final minute of the second period. The Canucks leading 3-1. Pasternak gets the puck off the boards and out. Lucas Spiza up for Alex Burrows. Drops back for Dan Hamhuis, who has to chase for that puck in the corner. Now he throws a long one ahead to Burrows. Cunningham over to hit him. And Chara winds up with the puck and clears it out. 30 seconds to go in the period, and Burrows sends Daniel Sedin on the left wing. That's Henrik Sedin banking it around for Daniel. Now Henrik from behind the goal. Daniel on the right wing. Blue line feed. Clendening shoots one. Burrows trying to tip it, wound up blocking it. And Hamilton clears to the line. Held in by the glove of Clendening. Cunningham fighting for the puck. Now it comes free to Paille. Trying to move through center with under 10 seconds to go in the period. Clendening knocks that one down. Tips the puck back for Stanton. And that'll do it for period number 2. Canucks came out with a strong start to the second, piling the shots on Rask. And then eventually, near the halfway mark, got the 3-1 goal from Radim Verbata. His 21st. And the Canucks up by 2 through 40 as we send it back to Brad.
Zone off waivers. Brandon McMillan, first off, we saw the tweet yesterday. How excited to hear that you were getting back in the National Hockey League and with Vancouver?
It was very exciting, especially coming back home to a place I'm very familiar with, and you know, I'm really looking forward to the next couple months here.
What kind of game can Canucks fans expect from you?
You know, I'm a hard-working energy player, and I bring a lot of pace to the game using my speed, and that's what I'll do.
People get angry when we don't get where you're from correctly. Born in Richmond and then raised in the Delta area?
Yes, I was born in Richmond. I lived 5 years in Ladner to start my life, and then I moved to Tsawwassen and spent the rest of my life there.
Willie Desjardins had you in the World Junior. What did he say to you when speaking to you today?
We just talked a little bit about my role and how I can bring, what I can bring to this team, and that was just getting to know each other a little bit again.
Welcome to Vancouver, and best of luck in your time here.
Thank you very much.
John?
Murph, thanks. Look forward to seeing the newest Canuck, number 21, get into the lineup, Vancouver. With the 18 skaters it has in this hockey game, looking good through 40 minutes, and we'll try to start the third the way they did the second if they can. Leading 3-1 here as we get underway. Period 3 at Rogers Arena. Louis Eriksson in on the forecheck on Alex Edler. Tanev breaks up the pass behind the goal. Daniel Sedin missed the puck. Hamilton with a shot blocked by Edler. And he flips the puck forward right to Alex Burrows down the left wing. Slap shot. Glove saved by Rask, who fought it off and knocked it down. And Chara gets the puck up the left side. Here's Dougie Hamilton ahead to Patrice Bergeron. Pass to Marchand. Now Eriksson with a wrist shot. Miller, his turn to knock one down with the glove. Bruins keep possession of the puck. Hamilton wrists one off the stick of Tanev and wide of the goal. Here's Torrey Krug getting the puck behind the goal to Marchand, knocked away by Edler. Now it's centered past Krejci all the way back. Hamilton rolling puck, steps around Daniel Sedin, gets to the corner, now centers. Nobody get a stick on it. Riley Smith with the puck. Henrik Sedin trying to stay with him. Burrows gets possession, hoists one to the blue line, not out. Lucic with a blast, and that missed the net. Another chance for Burrows to clear off the boards, and again, not out of the zone. Canucks need a change here. Henrik Sedin gets the puck to center. Daniel will try to move it into the Boston zone. Now he'll just try to tie it up along the boards, but the Bruins poke it free. Krejci to Smith. His pass broken up, but again the puck stays in the Vancouver zone. A purposeful beginning to this period for the visiting Boston Bruins. Dan Hamhuis ahead to Ronalds Kennins. He gets over the Bruins line. Kennins drags, shoots, and a stop by Rask, who is on top of the crease to challenge, and he hangs on for the whistle.
Kennins not afraid to shoot the puck. His first 2 goals, just shots that you would think would be stopped. This one, did you think he thought this one was going to go in? No. But a shot anyway, and the goalie has to make the save. Alex Burrows with a high, hard one. The puck's rolling. And Tuukka Rask fought it off with the left shoulder.
Bruins move the puck to center. And Pasternak trying to get around Clendening. Clendening checked his stick just as he tried to shoot. Now he rips one wide of the goal. Seidenberg holds the puck into the left point. Hard pass to Adam McQuaid. He puts one on net. Miller the save. And Bo Horvat clears to the line. Held in by McQuaid. Clendening gets the puck. He's checked by Kelly. Here's Pasternak behind the goal. Blue line feed. Seidenberg. In for Soderberg. Turning behind the Canuck net. Clendening reached in to knock the puck away. Now he backhands it up the near side. Kennins there, takes the body. Clendening takes the puck and he plays it out. 2.5 into the third. Pasternak gets to center. He'll head to the bench after dumping the puck in. Paille in on the forecheck. Campbell as well. Puck squirts free to the near side. Dan Hamhuis banks it ahead to Zach Kassian. Here's Matthias in full flight. Slows, centers. Kassian had his stick checked as he tried to shoot the puck on goal. Bruins dump the puck over the Vancouver blue line. Spiza with a quick pivot to try to get away from Paille. His pass deflects to Dan Hamhuis, who's able to dig the puck out of his skates and bank it down into the Boston zone. They'll say Miller had no play on that.
Oh, man.
Derek Dorsett getting his 2 cents worth on linesman Von Rode as the faceoff comes back into the Vancouver zone.
And you can see Willie Desjardins doesn't like it. Now Miller just pulls his stick back, and you can see that's scary. Consistency, you would like to see it in the icing calls.
Bruins win the face-off of the Vancouver zone. Marchand tries a shot, and that's off his stick up over the netting and into the seats behind Ryan Miller.
Now the line change can happen.
Radim Vrbata made it a 3-1 hockey game in 9:26 of the second period. That produced another winner on Score and Win for Safeway and Quaker granola bars. From Vernon, Kelly Riley, you won a Lagostina 10-piece cookware set. Congratulations.
A little chemistry. Chris Higgins, Radim Vrbata. Look at that no-look pass, and Vrbata with the finish.
Another face-off win for Boston. Marchand puts one. Oh, it hit Tanev. It went off the bar. Game of inches. That was close. Here's Tanev skating the other way, and he dumps the puck into the Boston zone. Higgins from the corner. Up for Vey. Vrbata banks one back. Tanev to Edler. High slot Vey. Finds Higgins. Back to Edler. Tanev at the right point. Passes to Radim Vrbata. He wrists one wide of the goal. Puck comes to Higgins on the left side. Leaves in the corner for Lyndon Vey. Try to get the puck behind the net. Bruins send it the other way, and Bergeron carries to center. He dumps the puck into the corner. Krug first man in. Here's Marchand. Vey takes the puck away, dumps it back behind the goal. Tipped to the near side by Tanev. And Edler gets it to the line, forced out by Higgins. 4.5 minutes gone in the third. Each team has had a couple of shots here in this period. Here's Henrik Sedinin on the right wing with a shot at Chimp. That one off Chara to the near side. David Krejci wheels back for Boston. His pass deflects back to Chara, who backhands the puck into the Vancouver zone. Spiza gives it away to Krejci. Lucic, centering pass. Henrik Sedin intercepts. Finds Daniel. Up for Henrik. Now Burrows. Goes after the puck in the corner. Seidenberg there for Boston. Ahead to Lucic. Checked immediately by Kennins, who knocked him down. Now Lucic gets the puck to McQuaid and ahead to Pastrnak. He moves into the wrist shot attempt off Stanton. Hansen at his pocket pick, and Seidenberg winds up with the puck. Miller banks one to Pastrnak. The other Miller out to play this one. Canucks work the puck to the near side. Stanton couldn't get it out. Kelly with a shot. Scores! Chris Kelly from 30 feet out. And it's a 1-goal game as he makes it 3-2.
Well, that one's tipped in front as Kelly just brings it to the middle, takes the shot. Whether Chris Kelly will get credit for it, but that shot is definitely tipped in front of Ryan Miller. Just get the puck out, and the Canucks can't do that. Kelly just brings it around to the front.
Who was that cruising in front? Soderberg?
Canucks tried to block it.
Stanton, maybe.
Ryan Stanton tried to block it, and it's off his pad by Ryan Miller.
So it appears it'll be Kelly's 7th. And the Bruins with the early push and the start they wanted at period 3. They're back within 1. Not 6 minutes into the third. Kelly unassisted. Now here's a steel casting to the side. Matthias scores! A hat trick for Sean Matthias. His first 3-goal game in the NHL, and the Canucks are back up by 2.
And Claude Julien shaking his head, but it's the same kind of occurrence that happened at the other end with the Canucks when Ryan Stanton tried to block a shot. It's off his pad and in, and the Bruins come back. Tuukka Rask plays it. Seidenberg goes behind, he's got lots of time, and throws it right up the middle to Zach Kassian, who gets it to Matthias, and then Seidenberg comes back. It might have gone off him and past Tuukka Rask. Rask makes the original save, and as Seidenberg knocks Matthias down, it goes off the Bruins goaltender and in.
It almost looked like it went off Matthias' knee, but then you go, look at all these hats on the ice. Oh, I hope they don't review this one. The hats are still coming over the glass and onto the ice. Sean Matthias with goals 11, 12, and 13 on the year, and another winner on Score and Win. From Port Moody, Laurie Forshaw, you won a Bulova Marine Star Watch on behalf of Safeway and Quaker Granola Bars.
Both teams are leaving for Calgary right after the game. The Bruins have decided not to stay. They don't play in Calgary for a couple of days, but everybody knows their last experience in Vancouver wasn't an enjoyable one, so they're going to head to Cowtown. And the Canucks trying to build some momentum after that great game against Chicago, and now a real good team effort right from the start of this one.
Matthias' third of the night comes at 6:05. It comes 24 seconds after Kelly had made it a 1-goal game. And a tough sequence there for veteran defenseman Dennis Seidenberg.
Well, you wonder about Tuukka Rask, too. He's mishandled the puck a couple of times. And at that time, why did he come way out just to hand it off to Seidenberg? To me, that was confusing. If you're going to come out like that, you play it. Play it yourself.
A late hat that's come onto the ice in the Boston zone, right where Alex Burrows is skating right now. And nobody stepped on that. Here's Riley Smith in the Vancouver zone with a shot. Steered to the corner by Miller. Referee Mike Lego grabbed that hat and threw it into the bench. And now the whistle blows. There's a penalty coming up here to Alex Burrows, but his team is back up by 2.
The California road trip is back from March 20th to the 22nd. Canucks fans will descend upon the LA hockey scene to take California by storm. Packages include airfare, transfers, accommodation, game tickets, and exclusive experiences. Limited space, so visit Canucks.com/roadtrip to book now.
It's Dan Hamhuis who gets booked for high sticking, not Alex Burrows, and the Canucks will be shorthanded.
Well, Hamhuis is trying to play the puck. It's up in the air, and instead his stick catches David Krejci in the face. And Hamhuis is off for high stick.
Second power play for the Bruins. And an early shot by Hamilton is obfuscated into the corner. Hamilton again. Down for Soderberg. Dougie Hamilton, other side. Riley Smith with a blast. And Miller had a clear view of that one. Able to reach out, snare the puck, and get the whistle.
Riley Smith is a restricted free agent for the Bruins. They've got a few guys like that, and here he takes a shot. There's no screen. Chris Tanev gets out of the way, makes sure he doesn't get hit. Ryan Miller, no problem.
1 goal in the last 17 for Riley Smith, who stays out on that left point. Bergeron against Horvat on the faceoff, and Bergeron doing his level best to get the advantage there, and the linesman finally said enough. Soderberg loses the draw to Horvat. Edler rings the puck around and down. Horvat was just out for face-off duty. He did his job. Burrows jumps over the boards to join Chris Higgins up front. Puck backhanded it. Edler and Bergeron collide. Now Higgins intercepts the pass back, and he carries to center. Burrows takes the drop pass. Wrist shot attempt blocked as Smith stepped up and hit it. And here comes Louis Eriksson over the Vancouver line. Soderberg on the right wing. Stanton's on him. Now Eriksson trying to find Pasternak in front. Knocked away by Miller. Now the net's off. Whistle
now where's
blows.
the faceoff going to be? The referee is pointing in the Canuck zone. And you can see the Canuck bench is trying to say, okay, Pasternak runs into Ryan Miller. Do they have a case? I'd say yes. I
got the stick caught up.
Yeah, I got the stick caught up. And Willie Desjardins doesn't like the call.
Mathias against Krejci. 1:07 to go in the high sticking minor to Dan Hamhuis. Just past the 7-minute mark of the third. Bruins win the faceoff. Krug to Krejci. Torrey Krug, slap shot, didn't get through. Here's a chance for Marchand, couldn't find the handle. Puck comes free to Mathias, and he gets it to the line and out. Krejci moves back in. Pasternak just about blew a groin, trying to get outside the zone. It's good to be 18.
Yes.
Puck cleared down, Rask leaves for Krug. Torrey Krug. Marchand to Chara. Plays the puck near side. Here's Krejci. Looked one way, passed the other. Marchand with a wrist shot. He didn't miss by much. Pasternak tried to get it back to Krejci, but it's out of his reach and out to center.
Chara was planted in front of the net.
Here's Krug moving back in. Trying to spin his way into the zone. Horvat takes the puck away and chips it out. Dan Hamhuis back onto the ice, and the Bruins are 0 for 2 on the power play. 8.5 into the third. Cunningham with a wrist shot, missed the net. Seidenberg moves in deep to keep the puck in the zone, but it comes free to Ronnie Kennens, and he drops back to Tanev, who feeds near side to Edler. Edler couldn't get it by Gregory Campbell at center. Now Higgins takes the puck away. Edler flips it forward, and the Canucks changing in the neutral zone as the Sedins and Burrows come back onto the ice. We're 9 minutes into the third. McQuaid up for Cunningham, couldn't make good contact with that one, and Adam Clendening fires ahead to Daniel Sedin. Pass to Henrik. Campbell going to the bench, and he was able to get in the way of Clendening as the Canucks tried to move in. Soderberg takes the puck over the Vancouver line, and Hamhuis hooks it back the other way. Clendening gets it to Henrik Sedin. Burrows hooks. No call. Here's Pastrnak the other way. Trying to get around Ryan Stanton, who broke it up. And he got the puck outside the line. After it is Clendening on the right wing. And he shoots the puck in deep. Zdeno Chara can't get it by Lyndon Vey. Centering feed, Higgins couldn't corral the puck as he tried to grab it and shoot all in one motion. Kelly takes a hit from Stanton. And Higgins pokes the puck into the middle. Canucks get it by Krug and out to neutral ice. We're more than halfway into the third. Canucks leading Boston 4-2. Marchand from center rolls the puck into the Vancouver zone. Hamhuis stops to get away from Bergeron. Kassian to Dorsett. And he shoots one in. Cut off by Rask, who plays the puck up the boards. Stopped by Mathias. But the Bruins put it into the middle. Dorsett able to intercept, but Marchand takes the puck back. Wristed into the Vancouver zone. Hamhuis to Chris Tanev, who returns the puck to the veteran Vancouver defenseman. Dan Hamhuis up for Derek Dorsett. Puck got by him. Adam McQuaid tips it around for Dennis Seidenberg. Horvat pulls his way in front. Backhander stopped by Rask, who grabs the puck. Bo Horvat with a confident move towards the goal, but it stays a 2-goal Vancouver lead.
Are you planning a special event or looking to reward staff with an unforgettable experience? Single Game Suites, the perfect way to get a group together. Plus, book now and receive a Whistler Getaway package for 2 absolutely free while supplies last. An ideal gift to raffle off in your suite to present to a VIP guest. Visit Canucks.com/singlegamesuites for details.
Murph had the Whistler Getaway during the All-Star break, except Marlowe, so it wasn't for 2,
No.
for 3.
Baby makes 3.
Baby makes 3.
8:57 to go in the third. Canucks up 4-2. Bo Horvat on this face-off against Krejci. Canucks able to work the puck back to the line, but Hamhuis lost the handle and it's out to center, driven back in by Lucas Spiza. Jannik Hansen forces the issue. Bruins come up with the puck. Riley Smith tips it by Hamhuis. Kennan's back into his own zone. Hamhuis able to get the puck ahead to Hansen. And he sends it down the ice. It'll go just wide, and that'll be an icing call.
Great Canadian Oil Change. Family owned and operated. Superb customer service and new vehicle warranty approved products, including Valvoline Premium Oils. Great Canadian Oil Change. Over 60 locations across Canada.
John Shorthouse, John Garrett, Dan Murphy, Irfan Gaffar, and our talented, reliable Sportsnet crew.
There's Bo Horvat winning another faceoff. He's the only centerman for the Canucks who's over 500.
Chris Tanev fanned on that clearing, and puck is held in front. And Eriksson behind Edler trying to get a crack on goal. Alex Edler clears the zone. This could be another icing call. Waved off.
They're going to wave it off.
Krug out with the puck. Gets to center. Sends the puck in. Edler. Puck eventually wound up on the stick of Alex Burrows. He finds Daniel Sedin, who sends a long one in on Rask. Dougie Hamilton gobbles up the rebound. Pass up the right wing off of Vancouver's stick. Clendening goes down. Campbell's after the puck. Lyndon Vey trying to shield it away from him. Now he throws it up the middle, and Cunningham had a chance, but his shot hit a body and went wide. Now a pass to the line, and Hamilton trying to find a shooting lane. Puck onto the stick of Verbata. He's got Higgins on the left. Vey up the middle. Clendening's the trailer. Well, the pass in front was deflected away, and Cunningham stops behind his own goal. Zdeno Chara will allow the Bruins to complete a change before firing up to center. And that one's off a Bruins sit down into the Vancouver zone. Icing waved off. Kelly was hit. Puck was centered, went off Miller and out to center. Picked up by the other Miller, Kevin, who drives it in. Spiza around for Hanhus, who helps the puck around to Dorsey. Couldn't chop it by Kevin Miller, and so Hanhus will try the other side to Spiza. Kassian goes off the boards, but not out. Long shot, stopped by Miller. Here's Krug in deep, throwing one through the crease, back to Kevin Miller. He goes wide. Miller, the goaltender, without his stick. Bruins trying to hold the puck in as Miller retrieves his goal stick. Now Pastrnak tries a long shot. That was blocked. Thought maybe the puck came outside the line, but play goes on. Hanhus. Oh, hit hard. Pastrnak got him. Now the puck tipped on goal, grabbed by Miller. And he'll hang on with 5:55 to go, and the Canucks at home leading Boston by 2. Tomorrow's not just Valentine's Day. It's Hockey Day in Canada. Join us live from Halifax, Nova Scotia, as we celebrate our nation's game. Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada coverage kicks off at noon on Sportsnet. That's Eastern Time. And CBC with all 7 Canadian NHL teams in action. Visit hdIC.ca to learn more and join the conversation using #HockeyDay.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. I know you're working, but I can spend Valentine's Day. Sharon and I can sit around from 9 in the morning till 10 at night watching hockey.
She'll be thrilled.
I've got no chance.
Here's Zdeno Chara tipping the puck forward. Clendening tips it around. Went out of play.
It's off the glass.
And Bruins are arguing for a penalty here as it went off a Canucks stick on the way around. They'll talk it over, and while they do that, we'll check in with Jamie Thomas for a preview of Sportsnet Central.
Thanks very much, John. Now we'll have post-game reaction from Rogers Arena after the Canucks and Bruins finish up, and a huge night for Andrew Wiggins down in Brooklyn at All-Star Weekend. That and more coming up on Sportsnet Central after the game.
Looks like they're going to call a delay of game penalty here against the Canucks. As the puck was going around in the air, it went off a Canucks stick and over the glass.
Well, here it comes. Alex Edler swings at it. And the only question was, did it hit the glass on the way out? It was hard to tell there. See, and Willie Desjardins saying, okay. And the referees didn't see it. Linesman came over.
They send Clendening off. But I think you're right. He sent it around, and it was Edler's stick that propelled it over the glass. Bruins' third power play, and a crucial one. Bo Horvat gets the puck down the ice.
Clendening got the penalty. It was Alex Edler that shot it out. That's a break for the Canucks because Edler obviously is a big part of their penalty kill.
Canucks break it up. Hansen after the puck at center. He's hooked. Play goes on. Dougie Hamilton for Boston. Pass to Carl Soderberg. Takes the puck wide, now curls back towards the blue line. Soderberg down to the corner. Turning again. Minute 15 to go on the Boston power play. Soderberg tries a shot, and Miller got enough to steer it wide. Hamilton's in deep. Hanhus trying to check him. Eriksson hooks the puck to the blue line. Bergeron there to pick it up. Eriksson down to Soderberg. Sends one across off the stick of Hansen. Nice stick handling by Eriksson to keep the puck in the zone. Hanhus blows a tire, but he's back on his feet. 45 seconds to go in the Boston power play. Bruins trying to get within one. Here's Krug at the line. Long wrist shot, missed the net. Puck comes off the inboards right in front. And there to clear it is Lucas Spiza off a sticking out to center. Krug. Off the left side for Chara. He couldn't reach it. Edler gets to the loose puck. Hammers it around the glass, and it takes a Canuck hop past Krejci and down on Rask. Under 4 minutes to go. 20 seconds to go in the Vancouver penalty. Brad Marchand carries in. Right side. Pastrnak with a shot. Stopped by Miller. Rebound to Edler, and he gets the puck down the ice. Here comes Clendening back on. Boston's 0 for 3 in the power play. Krejci carries in. Chara rolling puck, lets it fly, and he sailed that off the target. Pastrnak sends one in front, tipped away by Spiza. Here's Clendening looking ahead for Henrik Sedin, trying to get loose, but puck bounced off him into the corner. Now he centers right to Krejci. And David Krejci turns with a puck in his own zone. How aggressive might Boston be with the pulling of the goalie? Paille banks the puck into Vancouver territory. Clendening leaves from Matthias, and he gets the puck off the glass and out. Miller sends it back in, and Stanton takes control with a pass to Adam Clendening. Ryan Stanton flips the puck forward. Kevin Miller knocks it down, finds Craig Cunningham, who wrists it into the Vancouver zone, cut off by Ryan Miller. He fakes near side, goes the other way. But the Bruins cut it off and hold the puck in. Loose on the near side, picked up by Sean Matthias. He defers to Derek Dorsett. Down the left wing. Dorsett stops, makes sure he gets the puck deep. And the Canucks will start another quick change here with 2:20 to go in the third. Here's Dennis Seidenberg as Rask heads to the bench. Bruins pull the goalie with over 2 minutes to go, trailing by a couple. Horvat ran into Kennins at center, and Boston gets the puck back. Louis Eriksson works his way to the far side and passes in deep for Brad Marchand. Horvat works the puck to Hansen. He takes a look and scores! A confident Jannik Hansen, and it's 5-2.
Well, the 2-goal lead. Had lots of time, had lots of space. Takes a look. Louis Eriksson's about 10 feet away, so Hansen just has to go over his head and hit.
A fifth Vancouver goal, and another winner on Safeway Score and Win for Safeway and Quaker Granola Bars. From Prince Rupert, Margaret Ostrom. You've won a Bradley 4-burner stainless steel grill.
Big grin on Jannik Hansen's face. That wasn't even close, right in the middle of the net.
He's got 11. That one exactly 18 minutes into period number 3. A 3-goal lead for the Canucks. Here's McQuaid putting one in front, blocked by Hanhus. Bruins leave Rask in with the 3-goal deficit now. Puck comes to the blue line, and McQuaid bobbles it. It's out to center. Bo Horvat, the only assist on the empty netter by Hansen. Here's a long pass. Krejci moves in on the right side. Steps around Horvat. Feeds down for Milan Lucic to Krejci. And now a one-timer by Kevin Miller. His stick broke in half. Puck thrown hard in front, tipped behind the goal. Horvat gets it around. Here comes Hansen again. This time with a goaltender in net. Jannik Hansen centers. Horvat shoots, and Rask able to get a piece of it and steer it wide. Clendening tries a shot, and that was blocked. Hansen passes to center as we move into the final minute of the hockey game. Rask out of his net. Now Kevin Miller starts out. Puck jumped in. Ryan Miller gets it to Stanton. Almost gave it away. Craig Cunningham after the puck for Boston. Paille throws one in front. Cleared away by Stanton. Now the puck onto the stick of Derek Dorsett. And he feeds rink wide at center. Paille another chance to move in, and he's checked by Stanton. 15 seconds to go on this one. Fans have been entertained from start to finish, and they begin to show their appreciation for that. Puck brought in one last time, and that'll do it. Canucks winning back-to-back games for the first time since mid-January. Sean Matthias, his first career hat-trick, and the Canucks knock off Boston 5-2. Tonight's Safeway $1 million Score and Win grand prize winner will receive an all-inclusive trip for 2 to a Grand Bahia Principe Resort, courtesy of redtag.ca, where Canada shops for great travel deals. Tonight's grand prize winner is Keith Robertson of Kelowna, BC. Of Kelowna, we know where it is. Congratulations. Shop at Safeway today, and you could be our next lucky winner. Canucks winners tonight by 3 over the Bruins.
First time in 9 games that the Canucks have won back-to-back. A little momentum. 2 very emotional games against the Chicago Blackhawks and now here against the Boston Bruins.
John, one of your biggest jobs every night is to pick the 3 stars.
Yes. Rada Verbata with another beautiful picture goal. Patrice Bergeron dominant in the faceoff circle, also had a goal. And Sean Mathias could have been number 1 and 2 stars in this one.
A quick 1-game pit stop at home for the Vancouver Canucks, and no difficulty getting up for this one. Always a spirited affair when the Boston Bruins are in town, and the Canucks with a strong start and carried it through with a 60-minute effort. A hat trick for Sean Mathias, and Vancouver will head to Calgary with 2 more valuable points in the hip pocket. Canucks over the Bruins, 5-2 the final. Thanks for being with us, everybody. So long from Rogers Arena as we send it to Jamie Thomas.